Hey guys, this is GamerCow. We are playing Touhou 12 Undefined Fantastic Objects, and this is probably about the fourth or something time that I've done this intro thing by now, but yeah, I kind of either lost a recording on the original one, which was actually done in that trial thing, well, what was supposed to be the LP, but wasn't because legendary, whatever, and yeah, I'm gonna try a slight change of format this time, so nuts to everything. Don't need to see the demo stuff. So yeah, this is the same save file as I was playing through the stream that I managed to somehow win the game on, which is why extra is available and stuff like that. And well, that really has nothing to do with anything because yeah, a general idea with this game plot-wise is that the guys from the last game happen to fire up more than just evil spirits. There happened to be a bunch of yokai that came up from it as well that are looking for some sort of treasure thing, or what looks like treasure, and the three girls, Reimu, Marissa and Sanae for this game, as you can see here, have basically caught wind or discovered UFO looking objects, like literally the flying saucers type of thing, and either through their own greed, their own curiosity, or through the request of their superiors, they go ahead and go and research the thing. Basically that's what they're flying out to find out about. So I won't really go into the shot type stuff at the moment. I'm just going to go into the game itself because there's a lot that I want to talk about the shot type stuff for, and I kind of want to go into the game mechanics first, taking a sort of thing from Robin this time I guess, but oh well. So, the game itself, you can see on the right hand side we actually have bombs as a resource now, which is different from the previous two games. And what you can also see is that there are these tokens which are on the screen, which change colour and stuff like that. They are the UFO tokens, obviously. Those with a white border will change colours, those without a white border will not. And basically if you get 3 of the same colour of UFO, like so, you will summon a larger UFO to the screen which you can fill to get stuff. That's a really terrible example of getting stuff there because of that type of UFO, but whatever. Basically, the blue ones are for points, the green ones are for bombs, and the red ones are for lives. When a UFO is summoned, a little purple ring thing basically appears on the screen that will sort of cancel out any bullets which are in its vicinity, and the UFO will stay on screen for 11 seconds. When it hits 7 seconds remaining, it will track your vertical position, so it will basically come and stay on, like directly above you, and at 3 seconds it starts to fly off the screen. It will automatically pick up every point item on the screen like that, and if you fill it up with at least 51 items, for some reason it's 51, I don't know why, but anyway, fill it up with 51 items and you will get a bonus from it depending on what colour of UFO it is. If you fill up a green UFO, then you will get a whole bomb for filling it up. If you fill up a red one, you will get 1/4 of a life, which is equal to 1 life piece. It's slightly different from the previous game, because the previous game is 1/5, but this one it's 1/4, so that's fine. And if you fill up a blue one, you will get additional point multipliers and stuff like that. Once you destroy a UFO, it will take away every bullet on the screen and give you an additional bonus in addition to a UFO token. The token will be a changing colour one that starts on the same colour as the UFO that it was spawned from. So the green UFO will summon a green token, etc, etc. If you destroy a green UFO, you will get a bomb fragment, which is unique so far to this game, in the series, and that is 1/3 of a bomb. If you get a red one destroyed, it will give you another life piece, so you get a total of a half bomb. Technically you get more resources from the green ones, but of course you need lives as well, so don't neglect that. And if you destroy the blue one, you just get all the items out. There is also a rainbow UFO by collecting one of every colour, and what that will do is it will give you a smaller multiplier than the blue one, but it gives you a larger multiplier than the other two. It will also go ahead and invert the power and point items that you give it. So if I had a rainbow one when I got that blue one, I would have gotten lots and lots of points instead of power. So there is that. When you fill up a rainbow one, it will give you a color changing UFO of the same color as the last, let's just start this, as the last one that you used to summon it. So if you had red, green and blue as the colors that you decided for it, you know, as that's the order that you pick them up in, then you would get blue UFO changing color things out. When you destroy it, of course, it gives you another changing color one of the same thing. So basically, it's a color changing thing, and that's kind of interesting. What else is there? When the UFO is on the screen, if you collect any UFO tokens, they don't go towards a new UFO. Instead, they will increase your point item value by 1,000. Speaking of point items, you notice they're really not worth very much in this game, and that's just because of the density of items in the thing. It's not that this game is terrible for scoring, but you've got to work for it a lot more. But for every 10 bullets that you graze, you will increase the point item value by 10. Also, for every 10 bullets that you cancel, you will increase it by 10 as well. You might notice this is much harder than your average stage 2 boss on normal, and that's because this game in general is just much harder than most of the other ones. I'm not sure actually on normal whether this or Subterranean Animism is technically harder. I think I did this second, but that's probably because I focused on Subterranean Animism more. But yeah, it's a bit harder, that's for sure, than the average Touhou game on normal, and it's much harder than all the others on Lunatic, which is the scary part. But anyway, what else is there to really say? I didn't show off the bombs, but we're gonna see plenty of those in the playthrough itself, so I'm not too concerned about that. You can see there I've got 2/3 of a bomb, I suppose, if you're interested in that. And, well, I think that's just about it from the main mechanics of the game. There's... yeah, you shoot stuff, you get the UFOs is how you get the resources. I suppose I could say the order that the UFO changes colour in. It always goes from red to blue to green back to red. There's never any variance in that whatsoever, so it doesn't randomly change colour and you've got to hope that it goes right. Thank God for that, actually, because that really would suck, you know. But anyway, enough of that, let's talk shot types, because there are, of course, 2 shot types per character, as you'd have seen when I picked Sanae there, and yeah, there's a good amount of variance in this game as well. They're not as interesting as the last game, but they're still very varied. So, Reimu A has the standard Reimu A-ness. I mean, Reimu in general is very standard in this game. She's got needles, which admittedly used to be Reimu B, but for Subterranean Animism and onward it's kind of Reimu A, so there's that. But basically her needles are the standard thing. They're very, very powerful, probably the best power shot type for most stuff, outside of the final boss. I think Sanae B is better at the final boss, but other than that, strongest shot type, only fires straight forward of course, so the range is very terrible and that makes stages harder, but it's still a very strong shot type. It's got a very, very good bomb, and yeah, it's the one which I do best with because of the final stage, basically. Reimu B is also very good, actually, but she's a bit weird in this game, actually. It's back with proper homing, which is different from Subterranean Animism, but the homing kind of follows the same idea as Marissa A from Subterranean Animism. It's reverse focus, or anti-pattern focus, whatever. Basically, the shot type spreads out when you are unfocused, so it kind of goes to both sides of the screen if you're in the center. But when you focus, it acts a little bit more like a front focus shot type, and the home shots will start just going straight forward instead of at diagonals. This basically means that the homing will focus in on stuff that's closer to you when you are focused, and when you are unfocused it tends to spread out a lot more, which is, I guess, sort of what you would expect. But for a homing shot type, when you're focused, it doesn't home as well as some of the others, and it is rather weak, so there is that. The bomb itself is still good though. Despite it being the fantasy seal stuff from previous homing Reimus, it's still pretty strong, simply because it's slightly different from the old ones. What this one does instead is the orbs will circle around you for a little bit before they go and attack the enemies. So if you have the orbs overlapping the enemies whilst they're circling, they do a lot more damage. It is very short compared to most of the other bombs in this game, but usually that's okay because you can do stuff with it and it's decent damage. So tends to be alright. For Marissa has her standard laser thing and then this abomination, which we'll go into in a minute. Laser Marissa follows a similar idea to the previous illusion laser stuff, but instead of having extra range on her normal attacks now, she basically just has more lasers. The thing is, the range, unless you have more than 2 power, then you don't have any more range than you do with no power. Which, okay, technically you can't have no power in this game because 1 is a minimum, but the point is you don't have any range on your attacks unless you have at least 3 power, which makes dying extremely costly for this shot type. Piercing is very good though, because there is a lot of large clumps of enemies in this game, and that does tend to favour piercing quite a bit, but the lack of range and the slight decrease in power compared to Reimu A is generally not worth it. Master Spark is in itself a pretty damn strong bomb though, and it does tend to work quite well to kill stuff, but the catch is, once again, it makes you move really slow. It's kind of like Imperishable Knight's speed. Might even be a bit slower actually, but I'm pretty sure it's about that. And the catch with bombs in this game, I believe, I may be wrong in this, but I believe that all of the bombs in this game don't reduce the power of your normal shots, and they don't stop you from firing normal shots either, but the catch is that means the bombs themselves don't do as much damage as some of the other games, like Imperishable Knight's Master Spark is clearly superior, but this one works with the illusion lasers that you fire and stuff like that. So I guess it kind of works out. Marissa B, candidate for worst shot type in all of Touhou existence. I'm not sure actually. I kind of think that Marissa A in Mountain of Faith is slightly worse, but this one has a worse bomb, so whatever. The idea of this one is supposed to be a spread shot type, which is already a bad sign because it's Marissa, and Marissa doesn't do spread shot types, and this is kind of why. But yeah, it fires a lot of waves really quickly, and you would think it's kind of okay, but the waves do pretty much no damage whatsoever, so it doesn't really work. The idea when you get to 3 power is that you start having shots behind you as well, but there's so few of them that they just do no damage, and it's wholly not worth it whatsoever. The bomb itself is also extremely bad, because not only is it the shortest bomb in the game, and it does the lowest damage, but the invincibility period runs out before the graphic and the sound runs out, so... and the bullet clearing kind of runs out at that same sort of time, so it's very possible that you will get clipped by stuff because or even just run face first into bullets that you expect the bomb to clear, but it doesn't because it runs out before it actually says it runs out. The only advantage to it is that it's all encompassing, so it does clear the entire screen, but it does so little damage that 2-bombing most spell cards from bosses, if you have to bomb at all, is very common, and that's terrible for this game. You shouldn't have to 2-bomb stuff unless it's Devil's Recitation, basically. Sanae, not Sakuya, unfortunately for some people, but I kind of like Sanae, and I really love the artwork in this game, especially that necklace thing that she's got, that's awesome. But anyway, the shot types are of course from the two gods, so Kaneko tries to be Sakuya A from Perfect Cherry Blossom, but it kind of doesn't work that well. Mostly because Sanae shots themselves don't aim, only the snakes kind of try to. The idea behind the shot type is that if a snake reaches the vertical level of an enemy, it will make a right angled turn and speed towards said enemy. So it's alright, it does have a bit of range despite how it looks, and it's not terrible in power, it's not that good, it's definitely the weakest of the A shot types, but it's alright. The bomb itself is a better version of Marisa B's bomb. It's all encompassing, it doesn't murder you with rainbow colours on the screen, I guess, and it doesn't run out before the invincibility period and stuff. Basically it's synced properly, which is how bombs should be. So it's alright, but it's not really strong enough to do very much with, so kind of unfortunate. Sanae B, on the other hand, is ridiculously good. The only reason I'm not going to be using this shot type is because Sanae's speed and hitbox are just too unusual for me to work with. The hitbox not quite so much because I use Marisa a lot on other games, but the speed is intermediate between Marisa and Reimu, and I just can't deal with it. But this shot type is your spread shot, your real spread shot. Screw Marisa B, this is how spread shot should be. It's exploding frogs. I think this is the first instance of actual exploding frogs, because I don't really count Sorako's 5th spell card, so there's that. But yeah, it spreads out a lot. The frogs will explode and deal splash damage stuff when they do explode, which is pretty damn awesome. And it's a stage killer. This thing pretty much decimates every single stage in the entire game. It makes so many things trivial that it's ridiculous. However, its front focus power, even when you focus and speed the shots up, its front focus strength is not very good. It's okay if you shotgun with it, so if you stay right underneath the enemy's skirt and, you know, focus fire from there, then you'll get the frogs which are at the back spreading outwards to shoot as well, you know, kill the enemies, and it just does a lot. The other big issue I have with this shot type though is that when the frogs explode, they make a sound when they're exploding, and that sound tends to drown out the enemy bullet sounds, and it's very, very distracting. So personally, I don't like it, but I do still acknowledge it as the best shot type of the game, so there's that. The bomb itself also really makes this shot type, because it sort of is like a time delay thing. It lasts for roughly 3 seconds, I think, before it explodes, and when it explodes it does all of its damage in one concentrated shot. It's the strongest bomb in the game by itself, and it gets even stronger when you factor in the invincibility that lets you shotgun the enemies as well. So you can pretty much clear any spell card except possibly Devil's Recitation with a single bomb, no matter what the shot type is, what the bomb like spell is. Yeah, eventually I'll get my words right, but yeah, very, very strong bomb basically, and that sort of does make the shot type. But as you saw, there was UFO collecting to be done, and the characters can be ranked in terms of UFO collection as well. So yeah, Reimu in general is obviously the worst at collecting UFOs because her smallest hitbox also means that she has the smallest collect box, as I like to call it, for getting items and stuff. She basically has, you know, factor that in with the slowest movement as well. She definitely finds it the hardest to get UFOs. It's not really difficult, but there have been multiple occasions where I thought I had a UFO, I would have had it with any other character, but because it's Reimu I didn't. But anyway, the Reimu A thing is okay for that, except she kind of does move at half speed when she's bombing, so if you need to bomb to get UFOs, then do bear in mind that you're going to be slower and you might miss a color changing one as a result. So there is that. I guess I actually forgot to mention with color changing ones, if you stay within about a character's length of them, they will not change color. So there is that. But it's difficult with this shot type to get them at the right color if you're not planning ahead. Not the hardest, but still difficult. Reimu B is not difficult at all to get them with, but you have to remember that her spirit sign thing, her fancy seal orbs, will home in on the UFO if the UFO is on the screen whilst they are alive. So basically you want to time it so that the UFO gets summoned after your bomb dissipates, because if you don't, then they'll destroy the UFO before you get a chance to fill it up and you will be a sad panda. We don't want sad pandas on this thing here. Both shot types are kind of aired actually destroying the UFOs, because whilst this one has great power, this one's got decent range, neither of them have got any sort of piercing, so when there's lots of enemies on the screen, they find it difficult to actually damage the UFO as well, and again, even at max power with this shot type, there have been times where I've missed the UFO destruction because everything just gets in the way. This is no issue whatsoever for Marissa A, however, because the piercing will just go straight through everything and you can easily kill the UFOs. The problem is actually summoning the UFOs, because if you have to bomb to get the tokens, this shot type will screw you over, because as you remember from me saying before, I hope, the Master Spark kind of makes you move ridiculously slowly. And that unfortunately means that it's very difficult to get UFOs at the right color, even more difficult than Reimu A by like 5 times magnitude. But more than that, it's very difficult to avoid the UFOs that you don't want. You need to have a decent bit of forward planning in order to make sure that you get the UFOs you want with this shot type. Plausible, but takes a great deal more practice. This one, well, I guess the bomb is decent for getting UFOs as maybe the only salvaging point in this one, because the bomb is so weak that it isn't going to destroy a UFO by itself, and it doesn't hinder your movement speed, plus it kills the entire screen at once, so yeah, it's alright at getting UFOs, but it's terrible at destroying them for the same reasons that Reimu is terrible at destroying them. It just doesn't have enough power focused on anything, so there's that. For Sanae A is probably the best at getting UFOs, but maybe not, obviously not the best at destroying them. Marissa A and I think Sanae B are kind of the best at destroying the stuff, but it's still a very good shot type for actually collecting them, because again, the bomb will not destroy the UFOs by itself. So you can easily just stop shooting during a bomb, get the UFO that you want, and you can summon it and everything's good. Pretty much, because everything else on the screen is dying because of the bomb, so that's good. This of course means the bomb lacks a bit of power against bosses, but oh well, this shot type just lacks power in general, but it's very good at UFO gathering, so maybe you can tank the game with resources, I guess? I don't know. The only thing you've got to watch out with the bomb of this shot type though is that the damage is all dealt in one shot, as I said before, and it is more than enough to just flat out wreck a UFO. So try not to, like with Reimu B, try not to summon the UFO until after the damage is done from the bomb. It's not just to make sure that the UFO gets filled up, it's also because then you can cancel more bullets when your bomb runs out, because the UFO cancelling stuff. And sometimes that's really useful. I kind of forgot to mention that both of these shot types, the options, like the Sky Serpent and the Frogs, will speed up when you focus compared to being unfocused. But in the case of the Frogs, it will disable some of the range aspect of it, because some of the Frogs which are shooting at angles will start shooting, I think they'll either start shooting forwards or they'll stop shooting altogether, so yeah, you have to be a bit careful with that, but yeah. So that, I believe, is everything. If I have forgotten something, which is more than likely, but if I have forgotten something, then I guess I will end up trying to remember to talk about it in the actual LP itself. And yeah, whenever it gets done, it gets done. There might be like a week delay in this, it might be a month, I don't know, but you won't really see it because I'm not going to upload this intro video until I'm actually done with the LP, like, main game. Because I made that mistake in Mountain of Faith, I think I ain't gonna make that mistake this time, and I don't care about that. So, Game of Cow, UFO, massively long video, I do apologise for that, but there's a lot to talk about in this game. It's a massively complicated thing compared to a lot of the other games, and yeah, I think that's why a lot of people don't like it, but I do, I'm just terrible at it. So, join us for the inevitable hopeful success sometime in the distant future.